In this lesson, you'll learn how writers blend dialogue and descriptive writing to help the reader to imagine the moment. By the end of this lesson, you also should be able to punctuate your dialogue correctly. So let's talk about why. Why do writers use dialogue in their narrative writing? Often when I read students' narrative writing, I see moments like this. The giraffes gossiped about the Kylie Jenner-Chris Scott breakup. As the reader, I know what's happening, but I can't imagine this moment. I don't want to just know what's going on. I want to be able to hear the conversation. Did you hear that Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott broke up? I know, I can't believe it. Don't they have a kid together? The powerful thing about dialogue is that it allows the reader to hear the conversation between two or more characters in a story. So what does dialogue look like? Did you hear that Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott broke up? Gordy said. I know, I can't believe it, I replied. Don't they have a kid together? Jenny asked. I think so. Me too, said Gordy. I want you to notice 3 things about my dialogue. Number 1, I want you to notice that there are quotation marks around what the character said. Did you hear that Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott broke up? Is what Gordy says. So I've put quotation marks around it. I also want you to notice, number 2, that all of the punctuation goes inside the quotation marks. So that might be a comma, a question mark, or a period. What's important is that it all goes inside the quotation marks. And then number 3, I want you to notice that anytime there's a new speaker, there's a new paragraph. So here, Gordy is speaking, and then the narrator speaks. Because they're 2 different speakers, they're in 2 different paragraphs. Last thing I quickly want to teach you before we move on to our technique for the day. A dialogue tag is the phrase before, in the middle, or after dialogue that lets you know who said it and how they said it. So for example, Gordy said is a dialogue tag. It tells you who said it, Gordy, and how he said it. So let's get to the important technique. We want you to be writers that aren't just writing dialogue that looks like this. A big chunk of dialogue with no description, no imagery. We want you to be blending your dialogue with descriptive writing. We don't want you to lose the skills we've been working on, exploding a moment, writing in the moment, using lots of imagery. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at how do writers blend dialogue and descriptive writing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you a short excerpt by Gary Soto, and I want to notice, I'm going to highlight the descriptive writing that he uses as well as the dialogue, and we'll look at how he blends that. Miss Bunyan, biting on the end of her pencil, said, "Louder, both of you." I want you to notice that the description here, Miss Bunyan biting on the end of her pencil, that gives us a picture of Miss Bunyan when she screeches at her students, "Louder, both of you." Belinda stepped up, nostrils flaring so that the shadows on her nose quivered, and said louder, "Sucka, is there something wrong with your eyeballs?" I love this imagery. Nostrils flaring so that the shadows on her nose quivered. "Nothing's wrong, I can see." "Louder! Make sure the audience can hear you," Miss Bunyan directed. Notice that even the dialogue tag here, Miss Bunyan directed, it tells us how she said it. It's descriptive writing. She tapped her pencil hard against the desk. She scolded. "Robert, I'm not going to tell you again to quit fooling with the beard. It's itchy. We can't do anything about that. Actors need props. You're an actor. Now try again." What makes this writing so visual, what makes it so that we can really imagine this moment, we can hear this moment, is the fact that Gary Soto blends dialogue and tons of descriptive writing. So here's your job. You're going to be writing a flash draft today. I want you to write about an intense or a frightening moment. You can also find the directions for this in Schoology. Make sure that you are writing a flash draft that blends dialogue and descriptive writing. You have a notebook sheet that you pasted into your notebook. It's called Punctuating Dialogue. And this is going to be your cheat sheet for how to punctuate your dialogue. So you actually don't have to remember how to punctuate dialogue. You are welcome to use this throughout your writing today as you are writing your flash draft. So remember, you're writing about an intense or a frightening moment. Get started.